Hi, welcome to the bathtub, where when you hear this theme's music, and we stop it really quick because we don't want to get sued by the ghost of Jay Ward, and you see these festive adornments. This is the Christmas tree, my Christmas tree hat, and we have festive adornments all over Dodo's play area, which is why Dodo's not there because they terrify her. We have to take him down as soon as we're finished. And we see this festive plant. You know that we've actually joined two important bathtub theme shows together. One is our holiday BATHTACULAR. We've been doing it every year since the 30s, late 30s. USO show. I'll tell you the story real quick. USO show. Jack Benny, me, Fred Allen, Arthur Godfrey. There was a bet. I lost the bet. I had to do I had to do a special holiday show every year, even after they were all dead. They're long dead and gone, but I'm hanging on like by a thread, and I'm going to still keep doing the show. We're merging the holiday BATHTACULAR with one of our most popular theme shows here, which is Pointless Adventures in Literature. These are stories and anecdotes from my life as a writer, mainly as a writer and a reader, which are sometimes they're pointless, sometimes they're meaningless. Sometimes they're pointless and meaningless, but they're always pointless, meaningless, or both, and you can bank on that in the bathtub just as you can bank on a BATHTACULAR's festive extravaganza coming out of this bathtub every year, because we've been doing it for 70, 80 years, and we're not gonna stop now. So a few things to start off with. One is, you may notice my festive sweater was given to me by Jack Benny back in the 30s. And it was for radio. You know, that's how good it was. It was such a great sweater I used to use on the radio show, and everyone was thrilled by it. It's disappeared. My lovely wife, best thing I ever did in my life, get married to a wonderful woman. I'm pretty, she hasn't admitted it, but I think it's going in the bin. She hasn't. I can't actually accuse her of it, but it's pretty sure it's in the bin. And it probably got some moths or something in it, because my wife has a thing about moths and ants. So we're going to have to make way with this wonderful, wonderful hat. And we'll do our Christmas show without. It was a high-tech sweater anyway, because it used to beep music, right? Everyone knows this. It used to beep a song, and that's high-tech. We're all low-tech here now. We're doing low-tech Christmas YouTubing like your grandma used to do it. Pure spring mountain water. Cruel natural sunlight coming through the window. The cruel sunlight of day is lighting us up, instead of the fancy Klieg lights and all the stage stuff, adornments I used to have when I had those idiots from Pismo coming up here every goddamn year. And the whiteboard's gone. So we're going to do a real simple show, low-tech show. It's going to be very beautiful. We're going to tell you a story from my adventures as a writer and as a reader. And as usual, I haven't prepared anything, except I went through some old boxes in the garage, and I pulled out a lot of junk. Okay, this is about my one of my adventures in literature, which is really the beginning of my self-promotion. Self-promotion and self-publishing. That's the word I wanted, but it's self-promotion as well. I did an interview with a lovely guy named James Nulick. Every 10 years or so I hear from James, and he does something nice for my books. I don't know why. He's very kind, very nice man. And he did an interview with me for LitReactor, which is up now. I'll put a little link to it. And in the course of that interview, one of the things he was interested in was I've been self-publishing my books, as some of you may not be able to help but know, since I bring them up a lot. And I've been self-publishing them through some Amazon software. I know I hate Amazon too. And I've just to get them out of the house so I don't have to deal with publishers anymore. And one of the things I didn't talk about in the interview is how I originally got into self-publishing. And it was about more than 20 years ago. And it was after a divorce, which was a really difficult, unpleasant experience for many reasons. And I was seeing my son on when I could. And in the course of that period of my life, I realized that as much as I love writing, I just really loved writing. I wanted to publish my books any way I could. I hated publishers. Every time I finished a book, I was just depressed, because I would have to deal with publishers who they just didn't care about the books as much as I did. And even when they did care about it, the machinery of publishing was so horrible. Even the good editors, and I had some good editors, couldn't do anything about it. The books didn't go into the bookshops unless they were, bestsellers. So I started at Christmas. My son was 5 years old, my son Jack, and I decided, I wanted to write, I always wanted to write a Christmas story. And I'd always noodled at the idea of Christmas stories. And for some reason, that year was like the year 2000, I think. Maybe 2009. No, maybe 2001, but probably year 2000. I had an idea for a story, and basically I had a title, which was, I realize now, I forgot this, but the title, I got it from one of my favorite shows, which was Father Ted. Do you know Father Ted? And it was one time when the dumb priest talks about something like he says, there's an anti-Santa, like the demon, an anti-Santa. And the term the anti-Santa just lodged in my head for a few years. And I sat down and I started to write a story just a few months before Christmas in 2000. And it started off with the story of the idea of the anti-Santa. And my idea was not to make him evil, but was to make him like the worst possible. We're getting ants here at Christmas. I don't know why this is happening too. Don't let Lucy know. She'll be in here. We'll be covered over in ant poison. So the idea I had was not that he was a bad Santa, but he was a really good Santa who wanted to do well for children. So he gave them healthy things. Like he gave them broccoli, for example. I can't remember the rest. He gives people Noam Chomsky books, which I thought was really funny, because they're good for you, if you actually read one. Anyway, so he goes around giving all these people good, and of course it's the stuff that most kids just hate, and everyone hates this guy because he's giving them crappy stuff. Anyway, so I sat down and worked on this story, and I wrote it, and I really loved it. It was one of my favorite stories, and I didn't know what the hell to do with it. So I talked to a guy named Roger Robinson, who was a friend of John Clute's. There were always useful people at John Clute's, people who knew things about weird things. And Roger had a little small publishing house. He did like a very tiny publishing of some books, some of interest to him. And I asked him to help me. And he basically, at the time, this was before you had all the easy software of self-publishing, he helped me put together a pamphlet. And his publishing house was Beck-On Publications. And the gimmick was that I'd written the story, and I'd get my 5-year-old son to do all the illustrations. I hope the glare from the cruel natural light of day. So Jack, 5 years old, was always a very talented kid in various ways, but at 5 years old, he just had the kind of talents of normal 5-year-old kids, and he just did all these lovely children's decorations. There's plums, and there's Rudolph's nose, and there's, because his Rudolph is in this, it's kind of like a HAL computer. He's like HAL in 2001. He's got a red glowing light on the dashboard. And he did the back one. He did all the illustrations. So the gimmick was it was a collaboration. I did all the writing. He did all the illustrations. Here we did a big fold out in the middle. That's the reindeer and the rocket ship and everything else, the magic. Anyway, this was the first one, the Anti-Santa. And we published this one in 100, a specialty thing. So that we numbered each one. We did a number of things to make it kind of a special book. One was that we would number them all. And so everyone we sent for a Christmas card, we give it to, and then we put something which we call the secret sticker. Every single volume, everything that Jack and I did, and then when Lucy came along, Lucy got involved in, we'd put a secret sticker somewhere in the book. So every book was unique. Besides being numbered, it would have a secret sticker at a different place in the book. I had the story published, again, one of my favorite all-time stories. And I had it published almost the same year or the next year in something called The Idler, which I don't know anything about it, but I just saw it in a magazine store and I sent it to them, and weirdly enough, they published it, nothing else. Anytime a publisher publishes something of mine, they never publish another thing, except for reviews and essays. And eventually the story was published, and I reprinted it in Hot Animal Love. And I would still say, I would say this is probably one of the best stories I ever wrote. I love this. I love the Anti-Santa in the story. And it's a Christmas story, so that's cool. So then we decided to do that every year. There's a few things I learned about self-publishing, which I'll share with you. Is one, it sort of reinforces for you that you write the books for yourself. I'm going to get this out of the way. This plant out of the way here. You write the books for yourself, and you pass them on to people, and you give them to everybody. And in the same way that when you publish a book and it comes out and you just hear nothing happens to the book, maybe it gets a couple reviews, it just disappears. We sent this out to everybody I could think of. And I don't think a single person wrote back and said, I read that. John Clute wrote back and said, I really loved that story. And John Clute had good taste. And Noam Chomsky wrote me a letter saying, I haven't read the story, but I'm giving it to my wife to read, and I love the illustrations. Oh, and my dad wrote a funny letter to Jack saying, it was a very good book, and you're a much better drawer than your dad. I'm so glad you drew the pictures, which was funny too, because I can't draw. I can't draw that well. So that was the entirety of it, and literally nothing. All the people we sent it to, nobody read it, seemed to mention it. I thought people were going to love this story. It was like you could hear a pin drop. My favorite story. Sent it out to everybody I knew and loved. Didn't hear a word. So the next year we did another story, and I knew I wanted to do this every year, but I didn't know how to do it every year. So we were at home, and it was like we had to get these things done several weeks before Christmas, because it took a while to print them. And I didn't want to bother Roger again, so I thought I'd do this myself. And I sat down with Jack one afternoon, and he would have been 5 years old when we did that, maybe 6 when we did this. And the premise of this is called The Puddinginator, and it's by Jack B. and Scott B. We didn't put our whole names on them. We had an imprint called House Books, which later became Red Rabbit Books. And this gimmick was we were going to write the whole book in 60 minutes. So Jack would draw pictures, and as fast as he could, and I would write as fast as I could the story. And the title we ended up with was The Puddinginator, an experiment in automatic collaboration for the holidays, or How to Conceive, Illustrate, and Compose a Christmas Fantasy in Less Than 60 Minutes by Jack and Scott Bradfield. So that was in 60 minutes, and Jack would put these pictures, illustrations, like he drew this illustration. Now, 5, 6 years old, they're very serious what they do something with. And he drew this picture, and he knew what it was, but he passed it on to me, and I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was a Christmas pudding exploding, and that's how we ended up with The Puddinginator. It was about a guy who goes around blowing up Christmas puddings. And as he would pass the pictures on to me, I wrote as fast as I could. The opening of the story was, once upon a time, there were 2 very tiny, very wealthy people who lived in a house with 2 big doors. Every Christmas, their pudding exploded. And that came out, and we just wrote these really fast. So it's like automatic writing and illustrating. This is the original version. I went out and printed them up on a Xerox machine and stapled them and sent them all out. And that's how The Puddinginator was conceived. The third year, don't quote me on this. I think the third year, I know you all die to quote me. I went back to Roger, and I wrote another story called A Max Normal Christmas. And then there's basically it's a robot boy. It's a little boy who's a robot, and he has a dad who's a robot, and it's about their Christmas together. And I really like the story. It's not quite as good as Dealey Bop, as Anna Santa, but I liked it. And I think I read it actually a couple years ago on this show. So that was the second one. And we did the same thing where I did the writing, Jack did all the illustrations, and Roger published it as a Beckon book, Beckon Publications. And what was cool about what Roger did with it, we signed and numbered them, and every book had a secret sticker. Somewhere we would find a place to stick the sticker, and it would be on the pages. And I can't find this one. Yeah, there's the secret sticker. So we'd find a secret. Everyone was different. Roger actually had these registered with the Library of Congress, and I think with the British Library. I forget, whoever it is that makes a record of all official publications. So we had 100 copies, and I think it actually shows up on Amazon as an actual book, though no one has it because I'm the only one who has any copies of it. That was like the third year. Now, about the fourth year, the gimmick of these was that every year we would do it different. And I have a few of them here. I don't have them all, but I'm going to show you some of them. Every year we did a different one. One year it seemed to me that it was ridiculous that I would do the writing, because Jack was 7 or 8, and he could write as well as, he couldn't write as well as me, but he could draw better than me. And we decided, or whatever, a corporate organization, how it worked, is that he would write the story and I would illustrate it. So that's how we ended up with The Incredibly Stupid Spy, Figures It Out, Not Really, story by Jack Bradfield, illustrated by Scott Bradfield, and then all the illustrations are by yours truly. And Jack wrote the story, and I printed it. I did the same thing where I had to Xerox it and print it. Same principle. We had 100 copies. we sent it to everybody we knew and loved, and heard nothing, literally nothing back. I don't think anyone ever read any of these stories except me. Finally, one other year, we did a, you know, the old Ace doubles. I don't have one right in front of me, but you know, you turn the book over. So our gimmick was we would do two books in one. One side would be by Jack with my illustrations. This is Made on Earth. And the other side was I wrote the story and Jack did the illustrations. It's called The Ugliest Elf. And The Ugliest Elf is in my, that's a Christmas story I think is quite funny. And Jack's story was quite good. And we did all the illustrations and did all sorts of cool stuff with, there's a secret stickers. This has cool this is when we started getting cool stickers. So that's a Christmas tree sticker. And that was another one we sent out one year. We did a bunch of them. I can't even remember what they are now. We did one. Jack did a whole radio show once that I had nothing to do with. Also, he knew how to edit software. Like when 8 or 9 years old, he could edit films and edit sound tapes and all that. I couldn't. As you know, we never even edit any of these shows. One year we did the Jack and Scott Christmas book in cyberspace, which was a game or something we set up online, and we did a movie. This is I don't think I can put this on I was going to put some of these on the YouTube station, but I don't think I can because there's a kid in it, and Jack was only like 10 or 11. Now, The Revenge of the Christmas Monsters was our first movie. Jack did all the tech stuff on it, and did all the that was when we actually did have tech that worked. And this is the first year we had our dog Mysty. Our beloved dog Mysty was the star of the book, of this story, and hopefully I might try to load it up and see if I can put it up as a Christmas showing for the bathtub. So we did that one year, and Lucy and I had just started going out together. G is her proper name, and I always call her Lucy because that's how I knew her when I first met her. And Lucy came along. We started doing the books together. I'm trying to remember where all the parts are here. We did the first one I think that we did is the one we're going to do. I'm going to set up next week or in the next episode, which is we did my Dazzle. I do a Dazzle a dog series, and I wrote a story called Dazzle's Christmas Miracle, and we put together a do-it-yourself Dazzle book, and I'm going to talk more about that in the next episode. But that was the first one where Lucy was involved and became part of the team here on all these books, and Mysty. So it was Mysty came along, and Lucy came along, and Mysty, and then we're all doing these together. A year after that, I believe we did the Jack and Scott Remember video, which I think I can put this up on YouTube, which was a documentary that we did about the 10 years of festive excellence, and we did these as a disc, and we sent the disc out to everybody for Christmas, and we loaded it up on YouTube, which disappeared. I don't know why it's disappeared since then. Okay, so I think that we did a few more. Then after that, over the years, Lucy and Jack and I and Mysty, we did some stories we did online, and we did some illustrations where everyone was at the house. Jack and his friends and some of my friends were over, and they colored in some of these really quickly, kind of puddinginator, like really quickly written stories. And we did that in a couple of years. And then Jack went to college, and we moved here, and we haven't been able to do Christmas books anymore. So we've kind of let it go. But we're going to have a new Christmas book this year. It's the excitement. We're going to revise. We're going to do a director's cut of our 2010 book, The Dazzle's Christmas Miracle. And I'll do more about that in the next couple of episodes. So anyway, I'm going to stop this. This is too long. But there you go, all of these Christmas books. You can do them in your own home, and we're going to show you how you can do your own Christmas book in the next episode. So I'm going to stop now because it's too long. Happy Christmas. Hang on to your hats because it's going to be a wild, festive ride here at the bathtub, as you should expect.